Alright, hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you guys are old subscribers, welcome back. If you're new, hello, my name is Mackenzie and I am a freshman at Kent State University. I have a feeling if you're watching this, you are either a senior in high school that is going to be a freshman in college pretty soon, or maybe you are a college student, and I have all of the information for you today. Whether you're going to Kent State University, you're going into a fashion program at other university, or you're just going to be a freshman in college and are looking for more information, you have come to the right place. I have got oodles and oodles of amounts of information to share with you guys today. I actually asked in the Kent State 2024 Facebook group, which is the freshman group where people find roommates and stuff. I asked them to send in their questions about anything related to freshman year of college, and I've decided I'm going to sit down and make one master video answering everyone's questions. I know I did a Q&A my first semester of college, but that was answering more questions that were like, what do you miss most about home? What was different about school than you expected? That kind of question. This is going to be more like information based, I guess. So without further ado, let's hop right on in. The first question I got is, what is your major? I'm actually a fashion merchandising major with a minor in fashion media. Kent's fashion program is one of the biggest and best in the United States. I was a double major when I came in. I was in journalism and fashion merchandising. I love journalism. I wish I could have kept the major. The only reason that I decided to drop it was when I went in for my advising appointment. They advised me and were like, look, if you want to do both majors, you're going to be here for about an extra 2 years unless you take 20 credit hours a semester and take like 15 credits each summer. That would be the only way that you could graduate on time. And personally, I have other things that I want to pursue. I have this passion project and Style by MCKENZ in general that I have to be able to keep up with and that I want to keep up with. And personally, I can get the same education doing fashion merchandising and fashion media as I would doing fashion merch and journalism. So I can still do the same thing. I can still work for a fashion magazine, which is my current plan. I just decided financially and just in general, dropping my second major would be wise. The number one question I got is, besides Centennials, which dorms would you recommend? And that's really hard for me because I've only lived in Centennial. Like, I can't recommend to you another dorm room if I've never lived anywhere else. When I found my roommate Emma, I said I want to live in a Centennial. That was my plan. I heard they were the biggest, and the only person that I knew previously who had gone to Kent was Sophie, who is my blog friend who helps me take photos and stuff. She's a year older. She lived in Centennial and was like, this is the best option. So I was like, I want to live in a Centennial for my job and what I do on the internet. I have an abundance amount of inventory and mail, and I need a place to be able to put that. I need to be able to film in my room. I need to be able to move things around. I still want to be able to freelance for companies. So Centennial ultimately was the only place that I wanted to live. Now, it is very hard for freshmen to get into Centennials. Usually you have to have some credits coming in to college, and you have to have been in really good academic standing in high school. So I know it's not super common for freshmen to get placed in Centennials, so don't put all your eggs in one basket. Still fill out. When you go to apply for housing on February 1st, there will be 5 places to put rooms. Do not just put A and B in the first 2. Put something in all 5 of them. I put A, B, C, D, and E. We got into our first choice, which was A. However, I know people who put all the Centennials as their top 5 choices and got put in like Dunbar or something. So it just depends on a bunch of different things. Obviously, I'm not in housing, so I don't know, but I know a lot of people debate between the Centennials and Eastway. Eastway, your room is about 2/3 the size of what it is now. The Centennial rooms are huge. It's actually probably closer to half the size of what the room we live in right now is. However, in Eastway, I will say you get a much more traditional college experience. Living in the Centennials is kind of like living in a hotel, living in an apartment, basically. You don't really have to talk to anyone in your hallway. In fact, I couldn't even tell you half the people's names on my hallway or on my floor in general. And in Eastway, at least so I've been told by friends who live in Eastway, that they're always hanging out with people on their floor. Everyone leaves their doors open. It's a much more traditional college experience, and you are in a tinier room. However, you do get food in the same building as you. You are more centralized in campus, and you're not as excluded. You get more of a true freshman experience. Someone else asked, what is your average class size? So it does depend on your major and what kind of classes you are in. I will say some of my classes are really large lecture style with 150 students, and other classes are much smaller. My fashion labs had about 20 to 30 students in it. However, our lecture portion for that lab class has about 150 to 200 students. So it really just depends. Obviously, when you're a freshman, especially if you haven't taken many core classes, you are going to have much larger class sizes until you get deeper and more narrow into your major. Someone else asked, do we do housing on Flashline? I believe that is what you log into. Flashline is basically how you do everything in there. You will get an email before housing opens up, and then on February 1st, I do suggest, like, if it's a school day, which I think it is, this year I think February 1st does fall on a school day. If it is a school day, I recommend like staying home and doing the housing right away. Like, I think it opens up at 8 o'clock. And I remember I stayed home from school last year, and me and all 4 of my roommates, we went on right at 8 o'clock and did it. It's gonna be really slow when you go to apply for your housing, and you just need to like wait it out, because the sooner you do your housing, the more likely you are to get the room that you want. Someone else asked, how are the professors you've had so far? I've loved the professors that I've had. I really haven't had a bad experience with any of my professors yet, knock on wood. I will say my favorite professor was Eugene Shelton. He taught media power and culture, which was one of your first roadmap classes if you are a journalism major. However, it counts as a core class for any freshman student. I really recommend taking it. It's super easy. It's a 3-credit course, 4 quizzes, 4 tests, and those are the only grades in it. I loved journalism throughout high school, and it was very similar to that course in general, just without making the actual newspaper. And he was a great professor. My fashion professors have all been really awesome. I will say my journalism professors were predominantly older men, and my fashion professors tend to be younger women in their 30s. Is Greek life big at Kent? As far as Ohio schools go, I do know that Kent has one of the larger Greek lives. Obviously, I haven't gone to another college, so I'm not exactly sure in comparison how it is. We do have 8 sororities here, which isn't a lot compared to some schools, especially southern schools, but for an Ohio school, 8 sororities is pretty big, and I do believe there are 15 frats. Don't quote me on that. I do know that there are several more fraternities, but I do know that some of those are business sorority and fraternities, so that is part of the reason. But Greek life is pretty big here. Someone else asked, what is your favorite place to eat on campus? So I think it all depends on your eating preference and where you live. Like I said, live in a Centennial, which is right across from Prentice. Prentice is only open on Mondays through Fridays, and that is the gluten-free dining hall. I'm not gluten-free, however, I will eat in that dining hall because it's closest. I'd prefer to go to Prentice over Eastway just because it is closer, but I think the best of the dining halls of Prentice, Eastway, and the Market, I like the Market best because you can get grilled chicken there, and I just think that the food over there is a little bit better. I don't love walking there, but I think it's good. And then as far as meal exchange goes, I like Boar's Head the best. Boar's Head is like a deli, and it's in Eastway. It's like at the bottom of Eastway, and they have really great sandwiches there. I like eating dinner there. However, I go to Munchies, which is in Prentice, which is meal exchange, and I get a smoothie from there pretty much every single day. I love smoothies, and it's one of the only ways that I can really get a good source of fruit in, so I love going there. I will say, as far as declining balance goes, so like more fast food in the hub, which is like the main area that you definitely visited if you've gone on a Kent tour, is Fresco, which is like Mexican food, and they have really good taco bowls. Someone else asked, did you take any college classes in high school? So I'm originally from Maryland. I went out of state to Kent for the fashion program, and because they offered both majors that I wanted, it was within my price range, and I'm only about 4.5 hours from home, so it was within driving distance in a day. So those are the reasons why I chose Kent. Because I am from Maryland, we do not have the same like college credit plus program that Ohio schools have. So in my high school, basically you only take AP classes. We don't have the same sort of college credit the way Ohio schools do. So I took APs. I took 5 APs my senior year of high school. I was super involved in high school, and I was always doing something. By the end of my senior year, I had taken 9 AP courses. So yes, I was in college classes before coming to college. However, not all those transferred over. Your credits only transfer over if you get a 3 or above. So some of the classes I got credit for and some of them I didn't, but I did have a college workload before I came to college. Someone else asked, what is the workload like for the fashion program? So going off of that last question, my senior year of high school, I had a really tough workload. I had so much homework, and I would spend, literally I would get home from school at like 3 o'clock and I would do homework until like 9 o'clock. Like I was always doing something, especially with the blog on top of it. It was a lot of work. My freshman year of college, I was very surprised. I thought that I would have much more work, and I found myself having a lot more free time than I thought I would. I think because I was learning about things that I was really excited about, I was really passionate about, learning for me came easy. It was fun. I ended up getting a 3.9 my first semester of freshman year, so I did really well as far as grades go. However, the classes were very creatively challenging. Like coming into a fashion program, you have to expect that it's going to be kind of competitive and that you're going to have to get creative. As someone who is not super artistic as far as hands-on art goes, I definitely was in for a shock. You do a lot of mood boards, you do a lot of hands-on crafting mood boards, putting things together, placing colors together. If you go and watch all my vlogs, I do share what I do for homework each week. I'm in fashion tech right now, and it's basically using all the Adobe products. So you're learning Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Spark, those kinds of things. So it's basically just it's an adjustment, and depending on if you took those kind of classes in high school or not, depends on how much adjusting you have. I will say creatively challenging classes are super time consuming. However, it's a different kind of time consuming in the sense that you're not spending 3 hours a day shuffling through flashcards or memorizing the parts of the body, if that makes sense. Also, my first semester, like I said, I was a double major, so I was in no core classes. I was in roadmap classes for fashion, roadmap classes for journalism, and then I was in college writing too, which is technically a core class, but that was the only one. So it's not like I was really learning science or math. I wasn't in those kinds of classes, so that greatly affected my workload as well. Someone else asked, did you get to pick your suitemates or is that randomized? And also, how did you pick your roommates? So many people asked how I picked my roommates. So I posted in the Kent State 2023 group chat a little blurb about me, sharing about me, some pictures, my fun facts, whatever. And Emma, my roommate, reached out to me and we started talking, and eventually she was like, okay, well, do you have a roommate already? And I was like, no. And she was like, okay, well, do you want to be roommates? And we were like, yeah. And it's basically online dating, trying to find a roommate. So my suitemate Olivia, at the same time that Emma was talking to me, was doing the same thing. It was you're dating two people at once, basically, getting to know them both. The only reason I chose Emma over Olivia was because Olivia was not 100% sure she was coming to Kent. She thought maybe she would be going to Mizzou. So I chose Emma. However, when Olivia 100% decided that she was going to Kent, I was like, oh, well, we are hoping to live in a Centennial. We could be suitemates if you found a roommate and we could put each other down. So Olivia found Lauren as a roommate, and then we were like, okay, we're gonna put each other down as suitemates. A lot of people do not know that you can request your suitemates. You can request your roommate and your suitemates. When you go to fill out your housing, there will be spots to put all your roommates' names. You just have to have everyone's email and their first and last name. So I put Emma as my roommate, Lauren and Olivia as my suitemate, and we all got put together. The best thing I ever did was choose my suitemates. I love Olivia and Lauren so much, and I am so grateful that we have the relationship we do. A lot of people who live in Centennials do not talk to the people on the other side. They're just randomly put together. They lock their door, they knock to go into the bathroom to make sure no one's in there before. They take their shower caddy in and out. We do not do that. That door is the only time our door is ever shut is when we're going to bed, or if I'm filming a video. Someone is always walking through the other side. We leave all of our stuff in the bathroom, in the shower. We don't bother taking it out. We're all super close. We do a lot together, and yet we still are super independent. But I do think that being away from home is so much easier when you have more than one person to rely on, when you have 4 people at the end of the day all together to reflect on and just chat with, eat dinner together. It really makes you feel like you kind of have a family away from your family at home, and that's something that has been so good for me. For those of you who don't know, I am a twin, so I'm used to doing something with someone all the time. I'm used to always being with someone, I guess. So having 3 roommates has been so great for me. So yes, you can pick your suite mates. However, if you don't have 2 other girls, you can leave that spot blank and they'll just randomly put you with someone. However, I do encourage you to find 2 other girls who you can at least know as familiar faces, even if it's only from their Instagram and a few texts. I do think that it really helps. And I do recommend talking about the bathroom situation with your suite mates before you get here. So like Olivia, Lauren, Emma, and I all sat down and we're like, I'm gonna grab the shower curtain, I'm gonna grab this, and we talked about, are we gonna leave our stuff in a shower caddy and like bring it in and out of the shower, or are we just gonna get an overhead thing for the shower and leave it in there, which is what we ended up doing. We all work great together and that is awesome for us. Your bathroom in Centennials does get cleaned for you every Thursday. If you do live in another dorm, your bathroom gets cleaned Monday through Friday, and then it doesn't get cleaned on the weekends. So our bathroom is still clean once a week. Someone else asked for information on living learning communities, if you have any. So I actually do not know much about living learning communities at all, so I can't really answer this. I'm sorry, but I do know that they have tons of different information on this if you just go online to Kent State's University's site and then in the search bar click living learning communities, and usually there's an email and a phone number. Someone else asked, what was your orientation like and when? So there are various different orientation dates. It's called Destination Kent, and I recommend going as soon as you can. When you go to Destination Kent is when you sign up for your classes. So if you wait until like the August time to go, a majority of the class times that you want to have are going to be full. They're already going to be taken because freshmen have already registered for those classes. So go as soon as you can and talk to your roommate and your suite mates if you have them, and try to meet up at the same time. Emma's from Cincinnati and I'm from Maryland, so we hadn't met each other yet, and unless we went to the same Destination Kent time, we weren't going to have met each other before we lived together. So all my suite mates and I, we all went at the exact same time. We went, I believe, the first week of June. It was right after I graduated high school, and we got here. You do stay in Tri-Towers, I believe. Whoever you check in with is who you room with for the night that you stay over. They give you sheets, they give you a towel, I believe, and basically you just spend one night in the room. We stayed up until like 4 in the morning all talking because I obviously went in with Emma and was like, I want to room with her for the night, and the 2 of us like lived together for the first time on that first night. There are various different activities that you go to throughout the day. They're super boring and like you just basically are listening to someone talk. Like I wish I could tell you otherwise, but that's like how orientation type stuff is. It's boring. You're listening to people talk. And then you spend the night on campus, and in the morning you go and you schedule your classes. I basically sat down with Olivia, Lauren, and Emma beforehand, and we like kind of coordinated our schedules a little bit. That way we would have the same fashion classes together. We obviously couldn't have every class together, but it was really beneficial to go at the same time and meet each other, and all of our parents met each other. We were able to talk about who was getting what as far as cleaning products go, and kitchen related things, our dorm room, just planning it out. Meeting each other in person was so awesome, and like I said, I definitely recommend going sooner rather than later. Someone asked, how do you know which classes to register for and where can you find the course code for them? So when you go to Destination Kent, they're going to sit down with you and they're going to tell you, they're going to look at your major and they're going to be like, these are the classes that you need to be in your first semester of freshman year. They're called your roadmap classes. So they're going to sit down. So if you're a fashion major, you're going to need to be in fashion fundamentals your first semester, and then you're either going to need to be in fashion tech or fashion visuals, which is a lab and a lecture. So you're definitely going to be in those 3 classes, and then they're going to have a few other classes that you need to be in to knock out your core credits. The rest of your classes will be cores. So they will sit down, they have a piece of paper, regardless of what your major is, they have a roadmap for you. If you go to Kent State's website and you click on your major, like go into your school, so College of the Arts if you're fashion, and then go into your major. So my major is fashion merchandising. It will say roadmap at the top. Click roadmap and it will tell you all the classes that you need to take each semester of every single year you're in college in order to graduate on time. If you come into college with previous college credit, you obviously will move through those roadmap classes faster. Some of them you can take your freshman year even if you are ahead, and some of them you have to wait until you're a sophomore regardless of whether or not you came in with previous credit or not. But they're going to tell you everything. They're going to sit down with you and they're really going to make sure that you're in exactly what you need to be. If you want to look through courses and just see what they're like, you can go in your flash line and click on courses and registration, and you can like look through all those classes and it'll give a little blurb about them, and the course code is like somewhere on there. Someone else asked important dorm necessities. I am planning on doing an entire video on this because I think some of the things I brought are super controversial. I'm gonna give you like my top 5 that I would recommend having just now, not for like cutesy purposes but for practical purposes. So my number 1 thing is a vacuum. I know a lot of people say that you don't need a vacuum, but especially if you live in Centennials, you have a navy carpet and the carpet gets dirty so quickly. There's always lint on it or crumbs or something like that, and it's really easy to see. I vacuum in this room probably every 3 days just because I like seeing it clean. If you don't bring a vacuum, I believe each building has 1 vacuum and you have to like sign it out or something. I will say in our like floors group me, someone's always texting and being like, can I borrow someone's vacuum? Someone's always borrowing each other's vacuum, but I do think getting like a $20 one from Walmart, Target, something like that is a super great investment. The second thing I think you need is a Brita and ice cube trays. So many people are like, I never used the Brita. I would never drink the sink water here in a million years. I'm like super picky about that kind of thing. And call me prissy, whatever, but like I like water that tastes good, so I use our Brita all the time. And I love ice cubes. Like my roommate and I fill up our hydro flasks pretty much every single day, multiple times a day. Keeping ice trays, multiple ice trays in the freezer is so nice because not having an ice machine is something that you definitely took for granted when you lived at home. The third thing I recommend is a printer. We use our printer so much. We got one. I actually brought the printer. We got it from Costco for really cheap. Not like super cheap, but for a printer, I think it was under $80, I want to say. And then Emma got the ink, so I brought the printer, she brought the ink. And having a printer has been so beneficial. I believe it costs 7 to 15 cents to print. I think it's 14 cents for a color copy, 7 cents to print a black and white copy, I think. Don't quote me on that because I've never printed anything here, but it's a pain to get flash cash on your Kent ID card. And just having one in your room so you don't have to leave the room and just print things late at night when you finish a paper and don't want to walk to the library or somewhere that has it and then you have technical problems, just bring a printer. I promise you, you will not regret it. My suitemates didn't come with one and they were like, this is so annoying, that they ended up buying one within like the first month of being here. The fourth thing that I love having that Emma doesn't have is a little fan. I got like a cute little pink one from TJ Maxx before I came to school. Like it was from TJ Maxx Home Goods, and I just picked it up and I leave it on top of my desk hutch and it faces my bed. You do control the air in here, so like you have control over your air conditioning and your heat, which is so nice. We keep it at like 70 during the day and then at night we turn it down to like 66. But I'm used to sleeping with a ceiling fan and I love sleeping with the fan on regardless of the temperature outside when I'm at home. So bringing a little fan to just blow on me and create like a little small amount of noise, whatever that kind of noise is, that's like good noise, I love having. So that works for me. And then my fifth thing that I really love having is my Alexa. I know that that's kind of more of like a personal preference. I had one at home and I loved having it, and I obviously brought it with me. Emma had like a smaller one. I have the Show that's really big and has the screen on it, and I love having it. We both set alarms on it for the morning. I always set reminders on it. It's how I call my second family on Thursdays to talk with them for an hour each week, and we play music on it all the time, especially when people come over. We can just put a playlist on there, link our Spotify. That's not really like a dorm essential. It's kind of just more like something that I love having. But those are like the top 5 things that I think I would hate living in this room if I didn't have. I do think that at the end of the year I'm going to film another dorm tour. I did a college dorm room tour within like my first month of being here, but I think I'm going to do one at the end and put like a side-by-side of what the room looked like at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year, what I ended up using, what was unnecessary, what you should leave at home, stuff like that. So if you think that that's something you want to see, let me know below because I will consider doing it. Someone said, if you don't pick a roommate when you're filling out the housing application, are you just assigned to a random person? Yes. Also, can you pick your roommate after you've filled out the application? I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm assuming you can, but I don't know because I don't know anyone who didn't pick their roommate before they went. I would advise that you have a roommate before you fill out the housing. You don't have to fill out housing on February 1st. However, the sooner you fill out your housing, the more likely you are to get the housing that you want. Someone said, what are all the required on-campus things you have to do before classes start? So I think we got here like a week before school actually started, like maybe 5 days before school actually started. I'm not 100% sure, but they have so many different planned events. Like, it would take me forever to go through them, and I don't even remember half of them. It's a lot of like sitting in random boring orientation stuff and like going to get a picture and doing this and doing that. There is something called Blast Off, which is where all the clubs and the sororities and Greek life and everyone, all sports and stuff, like they come and they all have like a little booth, like a table, and you can go up to them and talk to them and just really get a feel for things that you want to get involved in. I definitely recommend going to that. You get a lot of free shirts and like stuff like that. It's really important that you go to that, especially if you want to get involved on your college campus. I really recommend getting involved in your college campus because especially if you don't have a lot of work experience and stuff like that, you need to start building your resume now. And Kent has so many different resources that are literally at your fingertips that you would be dumb not to take advantage of them. I will say you don't have to go to all of those. Like if you missed one, it's not like someone's here taking your attendance. You wouldn't know, but you have a lot of downtime that those like first 5 days that you're here. Really get to know your roommates, leave your door open, say hi to everyone. Like everyone's in the exact same boat as you. They don't know anyone. They're far away from home too. So I think that really helps. It's just those initial days to go out, get to know people. That's when I met a majority of the girls that I still hang out with now. Someone asked, does Kent have an online thing like Bright Space or something? I don't know what Bright Space is. If you're referring to something that's like where you keep your classes and stuff, then no, we do not use Brightspace. We use Blackboard, which is how you upload your assignments and how you view your courses and stuff like that. Someone else asked, are some sororities more expensive than others? So yes, they are. You will go through the entire, I'm going to do a video all on recruitment because I get so many questions about sorority life here. But yes, some sororities do cost more than others. You will go through the entire recruitment process basically before anyone really tells you the price, like the flat price. I'm an Alpha Phi and I believe it is the second most expensive. I know Delta Gamma is the most expensive sorority here, then Alpha Phi. Part of why our dues are more money is because we're an all-inclusive sorority. So basically that means like for the events we participate in, the formals that we go to and stuff, we don't have to pay for a ticket. It's included in our dues. So like for Red Dress Gala, whereas other students pay $55 to get in, we would not be paying that $55 because it was included in our dues. And living in the house is the same way. Some sororities cost more to live in, some don't. If you do live in a sorority house, you live there typically your sophomore year unless you're on the executive board and you hold a position, then you are required to live in the house. However, living in a sorority house is cheaper than living in the dorm room, I'm pretty sure, regardless of what sorority you're in. The same person also asked, how involved do you need to be in your sorority classes? If you have a lot of homework for, say, a nursing class and need a certain GPA to stay within your nursing program, would you get kicked out of your sorority for not having enough time? That is not how sororities work. They're never going to kick you out because you have other academic requirements. I have a pretty different situation than most students at Kent. Like I said, I am a regular student here. I take 18 credit hours. And I work at least a minimum 30 hours a week for the YouTube channel that you're watching now, which is not my predominant platform. My blog, Style by MCKENZ, is where I do a majority of my work. It's where I collaborate with the most companies, and I upload 4 times a week on there. I upload twice a week on here, and I upload on Instagram every single day. So this is basically it's in between a part-time and a full-time job. So this pays my bills. This is really my passion. Anywho, so I am super busy all the time. I have much less free time than all of my roommates. I'm always doing something. If you watch my week in my life vlogs, you know I'm go, go, go. I'm super self-disciplined, and literally I am always doing something. Like, it's very rare that I sit still. Don't get me wrong, I still have a social life. I still go out. I still go to parties with my friends. However, I have to live a very different college lifestyle than most students, and I am involved in Bumble on top of that, and the pink Victoria's Secret pink campus rep. So between those like 3 things, I still am able to be involved in my sorority. However, if I have to miss like a social or a mixer or something, no one would ever hold that against you. No one's gonna be like, you're kicked out because you can't come to that. You do only get so many excuses from like mandatory events. You'll have the dates of mandatory things well in advance. It's not the same for every sorority, but at least for Alpha Phi, I know that we have to have a certain amount of points to go to fun things. So like, in order to go to our next date party or our sorority's formal, you have to have a certain amount of points. And you get points from going to other sorority and fraternities activities to support them, by doing community service and being involved in other things on campus. So I get points for being involved in Pink and being involved in Bumble. So they're not gonna penalize you for being involved in other things. It will actually help you. However, being in a sorority is definitely time consuming. Like, it definitely is a time commitment. You should expect at least 2 to 3 hours a week doing something sorority related. Someone else asked, I'm thinking about living in Tri-Towers. One of the reasons I like it there is because the gym is inside, so I don't have to walk all the way to the main gym when it's cold. Do you recommend this? / do they both have a sky lounge in them? So because I do not live in Tri-Towers, I can only get to Rosie's, which is the diner on the main floor, and to the middle floor, which is the gym. I can't get into the actual housing, so I have no idea about the sky lounge. Like, I don't know if it connects. I don't know what floor it's on. I do know they have one, but that's all I know because my key card can't scan past the gym. I do love living in Centennial because it's about a 5 to 7 minute walk to Tri-Towers. I never go to the rec center because the rec center is like 2 miles from my room here. I love Tri. They have exactly what I need. I usually go on the bike or the stepper. They have both of those. It's always available. I will say I do work out typically in the morning before 10 a.m. So I am there when not a ton of people are there, but I love Tri-Towers and I think that it's an awesome place to work out. I do just want to say before I close out this video that everything that I said today is based off of my personal experiences and what has happened my freshman year. Like I said, I am an out-of-state student, and I do have a very unique perspective because I work so much and because of what my job is. You can totally have a job on campus or off of campus and still manage working part-time and going to school. I promise it's possible. I'm working more than I ever thought I would be able to work, and then some. So it is possible. Anywho, that's going to be all for today's Q&A. I really hope you guys enjoyed and that I answered all of your questions. If you have any other questions at all relating to Greek life, roommates, finding friends, stuff like that, leave it below. I will be sure to respond to your comment right away. If you're not comfortable leaving your comment below and you'd rather message me privately so we can chat more, you can message me on Instagram at @StyleByMcKenZ. I'll have my Instagram linked in the description bar below. But thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoyed and that you're getting pumped for your freshman year of college. I will talk to you in my next video. Go Flashes! Bye guys!